3, 2, 1, go! Kung Fu Kickball.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Phat Games podcast. I am Blair, one of your hosts, and Gary is the other host. Say hi,
Yeah,
Gary.
I'm the other host, but I have less of a radio voice than Blair.
I don't know if I have a radio voice. Anyway, we are joined by two very special guests this week. That's right, we actually have guests. Joining us are Jonah and John. Jonah and John have been working on Kung Fu Kickball by Whale Food Games. All right, guys, say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Man, he's even got a shirt too. Blair, when are we gonna get shirts?
When you pay for them.
Oh, I have to pay for them. Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, we should get Chris to make us some.
It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, probably.
The whole way we made fun of him in the game and stuff.
Is he still bitter about that?
Oh, maybe.
Sorry, Chris. It wasn't my idea.
Anyway, less about that, more about our guests. So, Jonah, why don't you go first? Tell us about yourself. Like, what's your background? How did you get into game dev? Anything else you think might be important? Why are you here tonight?
Hell, I've been wondering that myself. I don't know how I ended up on your show. I just kind of stumbled in and saw you on my computer and it's like, oh, I guess I'll talk to this guy.
Free beer.
That's right, free beer. Where'd this come from? So how'd I get into games? Well, I guess background, my parents made the mistake of buying me an NES back in the day. And I kind of been hooked on games ever since. It kind of what, got me interested in computer science originally. So like, even when I was, graduating high school, I was like, I want to do computer science and learn to code so I can make games. And then, I went to college and majored in computer science. But then I was like, oh, I don't like, the game industry seems tough and like you're building something for someone else. So maybe I'll just like do other programming job first. So I got a job as a web developer and did that for many years. But eventually it was like, I really want to go back to that original dream of making games. So I actually, at that point, I was doing pretty well as a web developer. So I went up to my boss and I was like, hey, you're paying me pretty well. How about I work half time and you pay me half my salary? And then I can spend my other half time like making games and stuff. And somehow they were okay with that. So that's kind of how I really transitioned to like taking game development seriously. I had kind of dabbled with it for a bit before then, but it wasn't until then, really having the extra time that I could really dive in, that I really started, actually making stuff. And then, of course, moving to New York helped a lot with that too, because I found this great community. I had lived in Boston and San Francisco and a little bit in Chicago before, but in those other places, although there were game development communities, New York was pretty unique in that there are a lot of independent, like single-person game developers here, like especially in like San Francisco. I found game devs out there, but they were usually like working for bigger companies and things like that. So it wasn't until coming to New York and like kind of through the play crafting group finding other people who are also like making games on their own, that I, kind of found my people. So, and Blair, you're one of them, so
Hey.
that's really why I'm on this show, is because of that group. We now call ourselves Gumbo, and we're just like this group of independent game developers who work next to each other, and kind of, we're each making our own games, but then we advise each other if we're running into issues, or get each other to play test, and it's a very collaborative environment, even if our projects are separate. And yeah.
Wow. So, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I feel like you and I are the same person.
I had that same thought where,
Yeah.
Blair, your story was very similar to Jonah's.
I did not live in Chicago or Boston, but I lived in San Francisco.
Mm.
And in terms of schooling and background, by the way, Jonah and I are basically the same age, and we probably went through it all at the same time. And similarly, I wanted to make games. Instead of actually asking my boss if I could go halftime, which in hindsight would have been a smarter idea, I just asked to take a leave of absence. And I happen to be back working for that employer full time, whereas Jonah, you are.
Yeah, I managed to completely separate now. Now I am just full time working on the game stuff. This latest one, Kung Fu Kickball, has definitely got a lot more momentum to it than my previous game. So I released a mobile game before this one called Too Many Snakes, which was, I'm still really proud of that game. But it was a much simpler game. It was just a mobile puzzle game, and completely bombed financially. But at least it got me through the whole process.
I can relate.
Once again, another Blair Pile parallel.
Yep. So I got that under my belt, and I feel like completing a game is a huge step. Like, just going through the process of getting it up on the store and actually selling it. There's a huge step involved from going from just like making a game jam project, like making a small prototype, to like actually releasing something. So once you can release something, then I think you're on a great path to like make better stuff. So since then, I started working on Kung Fu Kickball, and that's been a lot more promising in terms of just the market. And I was able to get a publisher with this one. So I have working with this Australian company called Blowfish Studios, and they're helping me with porting the game to like Switch and Xbox and PlayStation. So yeah, definitely this one's got a lot more potential than my previous one.
That sounds freaking awesome. Maybe Gary and I will see the same luck. All right.
I actually bought Kung Fu Kickball over the weekend.
Oh, sweet. Thanks.
So you might be seeing 22 Canadian bucks coming your way.
Nice.
I'm waiting for the Switch version only because I never play anything on my computer.
Well,
Don't worry. What's that?
That Switch version is definitely coming. Probably, I want to say we're trying to hit around August. But
that's really soon, actually. That's
no promise.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it going to be that? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just going to ask if that the Switch version is it going to play differently than the PC, or are they going to kind of be very, very similar?
Yep, very similar. In fact, we're really using the PC version right now to kind of test things out, make sure there's no serious bugs or anything before releasing the console versions. Just because it's a lot easier to push updates to PC than it is to console. Like, in fact, Switch, Nintendo has like really big restrictions on even how much you can update your game. I think you're limited to like 500 megabytes lifetime, unless you get like by them. So
we'll get into that in a bit, because I do want to ask you about that, because we've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we should give John a chance to talk. John, I got the same question for you. What's your background? How did you get into game music creation? But I'm assuming you probably do music for other things. I actually don't know. So tell us your story.
Yeah. Let's see. How did I get into it? I guess it was just something I got really into music in high school. And before that, I guess. I mean, you grow up, you hit your tweens, you find your favorite thing, and it's your favorite thing. I went to like I figured out like, okay, like this is what I want to do. I felt this like um purpose, I want to say. Maybe that's a little bit like um uh that's a pretty big word for it. I would just say, it's like, oh yeah, I'm into this thing. I find this meaningful. I like it. So um from there I figured I definitely wanted to do game music more than anything else because I guess thought I felt like I saw it as a way, one, to make a thing without actually having to perform music in front of people. Um, and two, I don't have to like promote myself. I can just, it's just, Jonah has to deal with that stuff. um,
I mean, you still
yeah,
got to promote yourself though to developers and stuff. I feel like that's such a
yeah. I mean, that's just like meeting people and making friends. That's cool. I don't have to like I don't know, like, hey, world, it's me. Want to pay attention to me? I don't have to do that. I don't have that like relationship with, I guess our audiences. So that's another part of it I guess just like working on other people's stuff that I really liked. So like I guess I saw it as a way to like um uh I guess it's a way to like for me to be able to focus on the craft of it all. And the meaning of the work is kind of already given to me, or like that's something that I get to start with and play with and like branch out from there, but I don't have to have like the initial seed of it. So I get to really just focus on certain parts of the process more than others. Um and I mean, I guess of course it's just because like I liked a lot of game music as a kid. So um that was probably um I feel like you develop a different relationship with the music from a game than like any other kind of music that you have in your life. I mean, especially back then, it's like um that was music that was getting into our houses, like that we were listening to as kids, that like wasn't going through any of the distribution channels, I guess, of like the music industry. It's not the movie industry. This is just some dude in an office somewhere who gets to have his music in your house. And like uh there wasn't like, it's not like Warner Brothers had to sign off on that or anything. So I was that was really cool.
it is
Wow.
interesting that
Yeah,
like
that
uh, it's almost like video game music gets introduced to, at least for us who grew up with games. You start playing games almost before you start really like identifying bands and music you like listening to. So it's almost like the first, uh, ingrained in us, like music in a way that's our picking, right? Because we pick the games that maybe our parents were pushing like their musical choices on us, but like our parents weren't picking our games for us. We were picking our games. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Um
when did you first sort of pardon me for asking, but sort of which era in gaming did you grow up on? Because
let's see. Yeah. Um there's probably a bunch of answers to that because it can't, there were different ways. It's like my immediate answer is like when I got an N64 and played games like Smash and Zelda. Um, but it also goes before that. Like I think that's when like the games really hit me like in that way, and I like really cared about it. Um, but my first games were probably the like humongous entertainment adventure games, like uh like Putt Putt and Pajama Sam. these wonderful, just like little adventure games that have.
I don't know either of those games. I'm
You
sorry.
should check them out. Like these games. All right, first, as a grown-up, these are like 20 minutes long tops. But
Oh,
as a
okay.
kid, if you're like 4, it takes you months, and it's wonderful. um,
These are point and
like,
click adventure games, or
what's up?
these are point and click adventure games?
Yeah, they're point and click adventures. Mechanic, I guess is you pick up items sometimes, you talk to stuff.
Hmm.
And it just has so much character to it. The thing that I think really stands out now is like just how interactive the worlds were. Like, how, I don't know, these days I play a game. I'm playing Resident Evil 8. You click
Oh.
on a thing and you get some flavored text. It's just like, oh, this mug has some blood stains on it or something. I don't know. And that's cool. You tell your story the way that's appropriate. But Pajama Sam says, oh, you clicked on this leaf. Well, a worm is going to play some mariachi music. And then it's going to get eaten by a bird. And it's going to go like, oh no, what's going to happen to me? And like every pixel on the screen is rigged with this like, just like completely insane, like sugar animation that is incredibly beautiful. So I would encourage you to check these out.
Yeah, I'm looking at screenshots of it right now. So this is an older game, right? It looks like it was released in 1996.
Yeah, I played them on my parents' Mac.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like those. I don't know. It was probably the one before those like little
Yeah,
bubble Macs.
these graphics are pretty sweet though. Like even for today's standards.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check this out.
I will too. Sounds awesome. So, John, you made music for a few games in the Gumbo community, and I don't know if I have an exhaustive list, and I hope you'll sort of let me know about that. But
Yeah, me either. I don't know.
So Zarvot was a personal favorite of mine. I was a big supporter
dude.
of Sam's endeavor in that, and the music in that game was phenomenal.
Thanks, man.
I know you're also doing Skate Story for him as well, which I'm also looking forward to. But
Yeah.
of course, I'm very much looking forward to Kung Fu Kickball, which you are also
Who
doing
isn't?
the music for. What has been your favorite piece so far?
Man,
Or maybe what's your favorite part of the experience with these different titles?
Okay, my favorite part of the experience when working with Gumbos. Let's see. Probably those scrumbos that I can't go to anymore, but
That's changing soon.
just eating lunch on the roof with them. That's probably the best part, honestly.
So like the social interaction. Yeah, I've only eaten lunch with them on the roof once.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You guys have a lunchtime thing on the roof, eh?
Yeah, it kind of died when COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
But the Scrumbo
Yeah,
stuff is like we did it like on Discord for a while. Now we're doing it in person again, whichever day it's happening now.
I think we're on Mondays now, every other Monday.
I will never come on a Monday. It's not possible.
But yeah, we had to lock things down for a bit because of COVID. But now I think everyone at Gumbo should be fully vaccinated within the next week, so we can start opening things.
Sick.
So
Cool,
yeah,
man.
you can definitely start coming back to
I'm
Gumbos.
not banned.
Not banned.
Reinstated.
That's right.
So what is your favorite music then, John? Or do you have a do you have a single?
Okay.
Is that a fair question? Do you have a single favorite so
No,
far?
it is because I actually keep this list in my head most days.
Oh wow.
Like I'll update it. I've got a Notion with a list of my favorite ones and what ones are kind of like disappointing me right now. Like I have to update it. I had an Evernote and a Google Doc with the same list, but they're like out of sync, so I have to revisit that. Let's see. Let me pick from kickball because I actually just got the masters back today or yesterday. I guess on kickball, my favorite one. Honestly, so if you look at the track listing, I just kind of front loaded what I thought was good and put all the shit I didn't like anymore in the back.
I haven't looked at it yet.
So that's pretty vaguely the order, I guess. I think Temple is probably the best one.
I was gonna guess that one. That was
I haven't-
gonna guess because that feels like the most you.
Oh,
I haven't listened to
that's
any
nice.
of them yet, but I will.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one, and I put Band Boogie first because I felt like the intro just made sense the most as like an album intro.
Yeah, that's a great. One.
But yeah, that's more or less the order.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to check that out. We will be playing some of the music after this podcast, like we have been previously. So this week it will be John's music and not Gary's.
Yeah,
You get a break, Gary.
I know.
Not
I
hot
love
seat
it.
anymore.
Dude,
All right,
tell me
Jonah.
about it. Cranking these tunes out all the time. It's work.
I'm sure Gary can relate.
It's hard. I don't know. Like for me, I actually really like the composition type of the like kind of like phase of the
Yeah.
of the whole process. I
Yeah.
hate everything else. Like I hate the actual production, the arrangement,
Oh
the
yeah,
mixing
yeah.
and all that stuff. I hate that stuff.
Dude, I get it. I really get it. Like, because I guess as like composers, I don't know, there's these kinds of like canonical ensembles that you feel like maybe entitled to be able to write for. And then when it's not as simple as that, you go like, damn it, like I am owed like a chamber ensemble or like a Wagnerian orchestra. So then when you have to actually like do all the virtualization of that, you get pissed off because it's like, well, what's with this world? Why aren't you playing my game music?
Like, yeah, honestly, my favorite part is when I'm actually not sitting there recording, but just like sitting, playing a piano or a guitar, like on a couch.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
is what I like
I'm glad to hear that, man.
because I can instantly think
Same.
about it in my head. I don't have to
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
actually make it into something, right?
No, right? Like, cause I don't know, man. Like, I think that stuff is cool, but at the same time, it's basically just turning music into like an office job. You're just on a computer. Like, you're not like, I don't know, working on your phrasing on a part or whatever.
Turning
So
music into an office job doesn't sound super exciting, but I guess that's what Gary was just sort of saying
I mean, I
about
guess
it.
it's
Yeah.
comfortable.
it doesn't
Like-
have to. I think like for me the office, quote unquote type of job, like the portion I hate is just the stress of it all, right? But the actual like
Mhm.
creating part is I actually really enjoy it, even with my real job right now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Just don't like it when management's on your ass about stuff.
Yeah, sorry. All the games I work with take forever, so I don't have that problem.
So Jonah's not riding your ass.
No. It's literally the opposite. I'm like, Jonah, when's I finished this like 2 years ago. I've like completely
When can I
redone the
hear it in the
soundtrack
game?
twice. I've redone the whole soundtrack twice just because the game like took longer, and I was like, all right, well, this isn't gonna sound like this. Sounds like I made it like 3 years ago when I sucked that much more. So I got to redo the whole thing.
Yeah, Gary can definitely relate to that. He wants to redo all the music after he makes it.
Hey, I redid all the music for Burgle's Bounty when we redid all the graphics.
You did, and it was phenomenal. But anyway, all right. Maybe we'll jump back to Jonah, because I feel like him and I can relate perhaps on this. So, when you sort of took this leap out of like an IT job of being a web developer and all that stuff, and how did your support network kind of react to that? Your family, what did they say, or have you told them?
Oh, I definitely told them. They were generally pretty supportive. I'm pretty close to my mom and my sister. My father passed away some years ago, but they my I was still getting enough income to be fine. So they were like, great, like do what makes you happy, kind of thing. I think it would have been different if I was like, I'm just completely quitting like work and just gonna try and make all my money on games. Like then maybe they would have been more concerned. But like generally I'm pretty I'm not that impulsive of a person. I plan things out and like look at all kind of avenues of where things could go. And so although making that jump was big from going to full-time to half-time, I was sure I was still making enough to be fine, and that even if I did like lose the job, like there's so many jobs in web development these days, I wasn't concerned about like maybe needing to find another one later or something like that.
I mean, I asked that question because I guess maybe it's because when I sort of wanted to do it full time, I ended up taking that leave of absence, my parents freaked out. I would argue that they weren't the most supportive, but when I told them even as a kid that I wanted to make games for a living, they didn't really like it, but I also don't think they really understood it. Different generation. So just that's good to hear though. That's like, it's awesome to hear that your mom and your sister were super cool about it. How are they now?
Well, they're great now. They're super happy with how the new game is doing. That's surprising though. Like, were your parents like concerned that you would lose that job and not be able to find another one or something? Like, don't they realize how skilled you are in your field and all that?
I don't think my parents quite, not to dig on them in case they actually listen to this, but no, I don't think they get it at all.
Hey, have they actually watched any of these podcasts, Blair?
I'm not even sure I've told them I'm doing this. Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please consider liking and subscribing. If you'd like to support the creation of our content, both podcasts and video games, please consider joining our Patreon. The link is in the description below. Please find all the links for Kung Fu Kickball and the social media information for Jonah and John also in the description below. Finally, stick around and listen to the temple music from Kung Fu Kickball.